everyone. Thank you for tuning in, supporting this. Everyone's staying safe, staying healthy. I wanted to address a couple questions first before I get involved and forget all this stuff that I wanted to get to. So for the stance, right leg is generally going to be out front. The reason why is if I have the knife in my right hand and my left leg's out front and my opponent moves to my left, I've got to reposition myself to re-engage him. Whereas if my right foot's out front, he moves here, I can engage, he moves here, I can engage without having to reposition myself first. In fact, sometimes when I'm sparring, if someone has their right leg out front, I'll throw some low line kicks to that right leg to get them to draw that right leg back so that I can flank to their left and press my attack before they can reposition. Questions come up a couple times about how to draw from concealment. So this goes into more soft skills, sensing a threat's coming, being aware of your surroundings, being aware that something might be about to jump off, contact management. So as you sense someone approaching or sense something's happening, you want to get your hand up, kind of a half fence, to get their eyes focused on the hand that's moving. If you talk to magicians, one of the things they'll tell you is if you want to learn a magician's secret, look at the hand that's not supposed to be doing anything. If they're showing you their left, that means they're setting something up with their right. You're going to kind of use that principle and just move in here and angle your body away so that you can get the draw in play, but you want to do it slow here. You don't want to snap this out because that's going to draw attention to it. So it needs to be a very subtle motion, and I'm trying to stay on camera. You usually do this as you're walking around them, which has other purposes. Lee Morrison goes into that a lot. Check out his stuff if you want to really develop the contact management skills. But as you're moving around, you want to draw this subtly. And so the motion I'm doing is I could try and use the pocket hook, but I would be facing, this would be the far side from the opponent. Use the pocket hook and then just finish it by using the leg. Or you can, if you miss the hook or you don't have a hook, just using the finger here and drawing it and keeping it up and concealed behind the arm here. That way that if an attack does occur, your hands, you already have the knife in your hands are up, you can attack without them realizing that you're armed. So what I want to do tonight is something a little bit different. We'll do a quick review, not quite as rudimentary as what we have done, but we're going to keep it basic, going through the side grip stuff. Then touch again on the hammer grip stuff we did last week. Compare and contrast the methodologies between a point down grip and a hammer grip, and show how those two grips have similarities and where the tactics differ. So to start with, go eye spike, palm to the face, and we're going to stab into this artery right here. So we want to keep the knife vertical so we come across the artery completely and separate. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So get a couple of these in slow. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I know a lot of you guys have been here for every lesson, so you've heard this a million times. Always bears repeating, but I'm also saying this for people who maybe missed some lessons. Targeting for the palm. You can go under the chin. If you happen to be a little bit shorter than your opponent, this is a good target. Going into the nose or the area between the lip and the nose here is a good spot to throw this. The cheek. You can catch the ridge under the cheek or the forehead. Me being a bit taller myself, I like to go to the forehead, can jar the head, maybe create a concussive effect, create a knockout, or at least disorientation. So we're going to take the eye spike, palm, break heel. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's do 10 of those fast. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So now we're going to take that and we're just going to add a little bit to it now. We're going to do what's called the chin pry. So in this instance, we're going to assume that when I hit his eye and his head and hit here, rather than exposing this artery, maybe his jaw has come down. I want to access the targets in the neck, but his jaw is in the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a punch And this goes a little bit against the general Libre principles in that generally we don't like to hit with a closed fist in knife work. Because if I hit with a closed fist here and injure my hand, and I need to pass the knife to that hand, I put myself in a disadvantage. So usually we prefer to hit with a palm or a slap. But in this case, we're not going for necessarily with a power shot with this. It just needs to have enough authority to turn the chin and expose the neck here. So I want to hit this to turn and lift the chin, expose the arteries in the neck. I'm throwing this kind of a little bit past a vertical punch, but not quite an uppercut. This is just because I want to run the knife on the chest. I don't want to hit the chest here, hit it here, because we are in an edge-in grip. This keeps the knife free, so it's not going to encounter anything. So I'm going to use this, punch through the jaw, then turn, put my hand on the head, and rip back this way. If I do this right, I'll get both the arteries and the windpipe. So I'll change the angle of this just slightly. So for the practice on the dummy, I hope this was within the frame. We're going to move through here, punch a little bit past the jaw, turn, go up here, and rip back. So let's just isolate that motion and do it a few times. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So punch here, turn, and rip back. Incidentally, this is also a good tactic to use if you're in extreme close quarters. If the opponent's right in your face and there's really nothing you can hit here, if he's on top of you, if you're in a grappling situation, if you've got him against the wall and he's sort of covering up, or if you're against the wall and you don't have a lot of targets available to you. So you take this shot, turn the chin, twist the blade, and rip back. Let's do 10 of those slow just to get used to the motion. 1, 2, 3. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we're just going to add that onto the end of this combination. So we attack the eye, hit the head, hit the artery. He's covered up. I still need to do more damage to end the scenario here. Maybe there's not an avenue of escape. Maybe he's between me and the avenue of escape. Maybe these shots just haven't registered the way I wanted, or I didn't hit these targets correctly. I've gotten criticized a lot in the past for teaching overkill. It's not necessarily a matter of overkill so much as just because I'm aiming for these targets doesn't mean I'm going to hit them. If I'm in a scenario where I train to hit the artery and stop, if I come in here and clip the jaw and my immediate reaction is to stop because that's the way I've always trained, I'm going to put myself in a really bad situation where he's just got a cut on his face and now he's moving towards me, and mentally I'm in a stopped position. So it's important to drill to keep your attack going until the opponent is neutralized. So just because I'm going for this eye spike, I might hit the forehead. I might come for this artery here. Maybe I don't get a clean shot here. I might go for this, hit the meat of the shoulder instead. So now I've done 3 motions that haven't landed where I want them to, which is very real scenario that you can encounter, and when you start knife sparring, you'll see this. A lot of your shots aren't going to land accurately. You can actually take these anatomy shirts, have both combatants wear it when you spar, film it, and then go back and watch in slow motion and actually see how accurate your targeting is. Once this quarantine insanity is over, I mean. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, chin pry here. So do a few slow, 1, 2, 3, chin pry, and rip back. 1, 2, 3, chin pry, and rip back. 1, 2, 3, chin pry, rip back. So let's do 10 slow. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You may notice as I'm doing this, I'm not actually hitting the jaw as I'm moving. That's just because I don't want to knock the dummy out of frame and have to bring it back. But for your training, you can clip the jaw here as you're doing this to really get a feel for that. So we're going to do the same thing, 10 passes fast. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So now let's switch to hammer grip. So in this instance, we're just going to do a very simple attack. We're going to slice straight down the face here and go into the femoral. So we're going to go 1, 2. Just get 10 of those in slow. 1. Okay, and let's go ahead and throw a palm in on this, just to round out the technique. So go 1, 2, 3. Start the count over. 1. In this scenario, we'd be assuming the opponent's right leg is out front. We're hitting the inside of the right thigh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now 10 of those full speed. Ready? 1. Remember to check your thumb position. Make sure the thumb isn't riding along the spine of the knife. Wrap it around. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so from here, we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Now, we're going to make sure that the opponent can't get away from us by cupping the back of the head. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So if his instincts to move away, create distance so he can refocus and re-engage us. If he's backing off to run away, that's fine, let him go. But if he's in a situation where I think he's backing up to compose himself and re-engage, I don't want to give him that shot. So 1, 2, 3, we're going to grab the back of the head. This motion is going to take a little practice. You're just going to have to do it to get used to it. Use the thumb to invert the blade here. So the blade's facing you. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, invert the blade. We're going to do this as we're grabbing the back of the head. So you want to do this in a way where your hand stays wrapped around the knife as much as possible. You don't want to be pulling it away from the palm. Keep it in tight. And I know this may seem awkward now. Do it a few thousand times. It just becomes second nature. So 1, 2, 3. Aim this. Now 1, 2, 3. Grab the back of the head. 1, 2, 3. Here. 1, 2, 3. Here. So at this point, as I'm grabbing the back of the head, that's where I should roll the knife. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If you want to get a little more intricate with this, you can do this while the knife is stuck in the leg. It's in here. Use that to open up that wound in the femoral artery. Now that's one of those little nuances that I mentioned, but in the duress of a real life altercation, you might not, you probably won't have the presence of mind to do it. If you train it enough, you might do it on instinct, but don't get too lost in a little nuance like that. Think of the broad terms of the technique and doing the big damage, not opening up one wound when you have a bigger wound that you're going to be creating here in a second. So 1, 2, 3, grabbing the back of the head. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's get 10 of those in slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now we're in this position here. Now it's a little hard to do this on the dummy because the dummy doesn't bend at the waist. In practical application, what I'd want to do is bring his head down onto the inverted blade here to get that on his neck. So I drop my body weight and really pull him down here. For the dummy, I'm just going to have to simulate this. But really, I'd be bringing him down deeper. So here, and move across the neck. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're using the upward edge here, pulling down. And you want to grab a little bit lower on the head. If you go too high, you collapse the chin in front of the target. So a little bit lower on the head, ideally. So slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And also, obviously, if you were using a double-edged knife, you wouldn't need to invert the blade. I'm not a fan of double-edged knives myself. So. A couple more slow. Okay. So now, 10, full speed. Don't rush this turn going full speed if you're not comfortable with it. You can just take a second to practice that inversion, break the rhythm, get that little nuance in if you're having trouble with it, then finish up the technique fast. So in that scenario, you go 1, here. If you are comfortable with it, just do a full speed. Okay, so we're going to do 10 and switch, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so in that instance, we were working from high to low. Like I mentioned last week, when you're in a point down grip, this is a very primal grip. You're raining down. If you watch how primates fight, this is how they fight. If you watch how small children fight, this is how they throw punches. It's an instinctive way to move. So a point down grip lends itself to that. Keeps your arms elevated, creates barriers between you, your opponent, helps protect your vitals just by virtue of having your hands up high. Keeps the fight in the opponent's face, allows you to target the eyes, carotid arteries, brachials, subclavians, targets that I like to hit. But, sorry, it's really warm in this room. I have to turn off the air conditioner to film. So I guess the hammer grip. Our arms want to swing on this motion. So a lot of times we end up swinging the same motion we were just doing here. When you watch how knife violence plays out in parts of the world where they use a hammer grip, generally, this is the type of stab they use. So that's why when we do hammer grip, we end up using this sort of swinging motion here. Okay. So, point down grip tends to be more hammering. Hammer grip tends to have more of this swinging motion. Even in this technique we just did, we were just swinging back up to take this. So, now we're going to start low and move to high. So, side grip. We're going to start here in close. You know, our soft skills have failed. We've allowed ourselves to be cornered, allowed someone to get into our space. Now we've got to engage from this range, which statistically, in America, or the Western world, this is where most knife altercation is most likely to start. Generally speaking, it'll start within 2 to 3 feet. It'll happen within 10 seconds of him approaching me and engaging me in conversation. Occasionally, you do see instances where the situation escalates, and sometimes you'll see escalations where it starts off in a brawl, someone draws a knife and uses it. Generally speaking, though, he'll approach me. He won't let me know he has a knife. Within 10 seconds of making contact, he'll pull the knife and stick me. So this is a very dangerous range to be in. That's why it's important to be able to draw your knife, have it concealed in your hand before the altercation starts. If I try to draw my knife when he's sticking me, it's already too late. So from here, turn the blade horizontal, run it parallel to the ground, go into the rib. So I'm just doing a little side shuffle here to get this long. If I was putting this on the end of a technique where I entered in on a high line, I would really step off here, get this flank, and move in. But this close, if I try to move my feet too far as I'm doing this, I'm cutting down on the time between me initiating the motion and the blade getting into the target. So I'd rather just take this fast, just do a little fast shot into the lung here. So the key is, you want to go, turn the blade horizontal, run it parallel to the ground, go between the ribs, puncture the lung here. Let's do 10 slow. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So now we're just going to do a technique we did a few weeks ago. I'm going to hit the lung. Hopefully that'll buckle him a little bit. He'll collapse around this. In the street, when you throw a lung puncture, throw it hard. You want to make sure there's some impact damage behind the point of the knife. People get stabbed in the lungs, they generally just think that they got hit really hard. So they're not really going to register the lung puncture right away. But if you can crack a rib doing this with the impact damage of your fist hitting the rib cage, that's going to carry a little bit more weight with him, help to buckle him. So I'm coming in here, I'm going to grab the back of the head here, high on the head, so I can come in and stab through the base of the skull. Anytime you're stabbing into the base of the skull, you want to make sure that's the last shot, and that you're not in a situation where you may need to engage multiple opponents. Since it's a bony area, this is where the knife can get stuck. If I'm engaging multiple opponents, I don't want to come in here, get my knife stuck, and then have to try and wrestle it out or let go of my knife, engage the rest of the opponent's empty hand. So, in here we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And with this slap here, for practical application, you can make this a good hard slap. You can even bring their face into your shoulder if you want to get a little nuanced with it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay. Do 10 of those slow to medium speed. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now let's do 10 of those full speed. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now, attacking low line with a hammer grip. If I'm in close here, it's very awkward to kind of raise up here and hit these shots looping around. So one option we have is just shooting straight down to the femoral. But if I'm here, drop this straight down, take that same shot on the right leg that we did before. Here. Let's get 10 of those. Since we already done this motion, we'll do 10 of these fast. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we're going to take this femoral shot, brace, do a reverse trinity. Come across the neck, stab through both arteries and the windpipe all in one stab. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 10, medium speed. Right? 1, 2, 3. You'll notice as I'm doing this, stepping back a little bit, hammer grip lends itself to a little bit more range than a point down grip does. Especially a point down edge in grip, you end up gathering a lot. You're pulling the arms down, you're stabbing, pulling them into you, and really working close in like a predator using claws. This grip, tends to function a little better working at range. So as I'm doing this, 2, 3, just stepping back here, it's a little bit more exaggerated than what I'm doing because I'm trying to stay in the shot. 1, 2, 3, creating a little bit more range so I can maximize the benefits of this specific grip. So I forgot where we are, so we'll start over. Medium speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember, as we're doing this shot to the throat, trying to come in lined up with the arteries and the windpipe, so I can stab through both arteries and the windpipe in one stab, ideally. If you just get one artery or just get an artery and a windpipe, that's fine, but ideally you want to get all three. And if you really want to be a dick about this, you can start with an edge and grip already. 1, 2, 3. As you step, rip this back and rip open the throat. So 1, 2, 3. Just make sure as you do this rip, you're pulling here. Don't pull the knife towards you and impale yourself. Use this. Don't use your arms to pull it out. Use your legs pulling back so you're not pulling the point of the knife into yourself or the edge. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Let's do 10 full speed. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now one more in hammer grip. This time we're in here. We're going to shoot straight up under the jaw. So here, coming straight in. Okay, so starting low, shooting straight up here. Okay, so straight. 10. Medium speed. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I'm going to stab, reinforce, use this, so break the knife free and rip down the body. So I'm using my whole body weight, really sinking down with this. So 1, 2, okay, 1, 2. Just do a few of these in slow. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. So now from here, 1, 2. We're down here. The blade's already pointed towards the opponent. Take that femoral, or if his left leg's forward, you don't have a shot at the femoral, let's go into the balls. 1, 2, 3. 10 slow. 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now we're going to do 10 of those fast. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so let's call it there for today. Once again, everyone, thank you for joining me and supporting this. Doesn't look like this quarantine thing is going to end anytime soon, so let's plan to be here again, 6 p.m. next week. As always, if anyone happened to film this, please